I'll make you famous. Hello everyone, Young Guns turns 30 years old today, and I went over that film on my channel earlier. You can check that out in the link below, but right now I'm going to be going over Young Guns 2. Unless I missed it, I don't think there's any review or discussion about Young Guns 2, and I think it does need to be discussed. So I decided to talk about it since it's Young Guns' 30th anniversary. Yeah, that film was popular enough to have a sequel, and that sequel was Young Guns 2 in 1990. Of course, you have Emilio Estevez back in his best role as Billy the Kid, Kiefer Sutherland and Lou Diamond Phillips return, but you also have Christian Slater as Arkansas Davis, Alan Ruck, Balthazar Getty, James Coburn, and William Peterson as Pat Garrett. Yeah, CSI guy as Pat Garrett. And we also get a different story in this. It's a much more epic, grand film. Christopher Kane does not come back to direct. Instead, we have Jeff Murphy, who later on directed Emilio Estevez in Free Jack. Yeah, this film is a very different monster compared to Young Guns. It continues the same trend, but it's much more of an epic, grand-scale, traditional Western. It actually starts in like the early 20s, basically, and we get to see Brushy Bill Roberts, a man who claimed to be Billy the Kid. Now, experts were kind of not sure if he was the real Billy the Kid. Some people say he wasn't, others say he was. Some friends of his actually say that he was the Billy the Kid, but many people believe he wasn't Billy the Kid, and some of the birth certificate things do not match up. But of course, Billy the Kid had many aliases. The first film showed that. We had William H. Bonney, but then Henry McCarty as his real name. So it takes upon embellishments of those stories and myths and puts it into a sequel to the original Young Guns. Of course, Brushy Bill Roberts died in Hico, Texas, but we have Emilio Estevez as Brushy Bill Roberts at the beginning. We have this old man talking to this lawyer claiming he is Billy the Kid. And they were going to cast an older actor. They did not think Emilio Estevez could play an old man. He went to like a voice coach, got a makeup artist, and he went to an audition, and they thought he was actually an old man. They had no idea he was Emilio Estevez. And that's just a testament to how great of an actor he is, but also how he was just born to play this role. He is Billy the Kid. This is his best role, and I love him in this. He then goes to a tale of what happened, and we pick up 1 year after the Lincoln County Wars. He's with Arkansas Davis, and in this one we have Pat Garrett with him, but they really did not ride together as outlaws in the history. Again, like the first film, this film takes a few embellishments to history. Doc is a teacher in New York City, and that's accurate. Matter of fact, him and Chavez come back in this, and their stories are pretty accurate, but they actually lived until the 1920s in real life, and in this one they get killed off. So that's very different. But we're introduced to them, and we're introduced to Billy the Kid. He wants to be pardoned. They don't offer him a deal. Government politics are changing in Lincoln County in the U.S., and they basically want to get rid of the outlaws. They want to get rid of Billy the Kid. So this is near the end of his journey, really. This is about like the repercussions of everything that happened in Young Guns and everything that's going to happen in this film. And I love it. It's a very different type of sequel. We get to see them at Fort Sumter in Mexico. And I kind of like the dichotomy between Pat Garrett and Billy the Kid. They're much more friends in this, and that creates a greater divide and betrayal when he does become sheriff. And he's hired by John Chisholm, who's played by James Coburn, which is really great. Guy over the Chisholm Trail, but also James Coburn was actually in Pat Garrett and Billy the Kid with Bob Dylan. So he says a line similar to his line in that film in this. But they have a cattle dispute, and Billy the Kid just pissed off John Chisholm one too many times, and he was the deciding factor in that Santa Fe ring that basically hired Pat Garrett to hunt and kill Billy the Kid once and for all. So we get to see the Young Guns, the Regulators, what's left of them, back, basically try to make it to Old Mexico and fight off Pat Garrett, and it's really tragic. The first one was action-packed, filled with energy. This one, it does have some cons with it feeling really long and overdrawn, some of the same stuff over and over, but it really doesn't have I guess, a trajectory of where it's going. But I think we all know it was going to end with Billy the Kid dying. It was going to end with that famous scene with Pat Garrett and him that was foreshadowed in the first Young Guns. And I like that. This is a very different monster compared to Young Guns. This is a deeper, more emotional film. Who could also forget Jon Bon Jovi's Blaze of Glory, written specifically for this film? Emilio Estevez originally wanted to feature Wanted Dead or Alive, and Bon Jovi was just like, you know what, that doesn't really match this, but I'll write you an original song. So Blaze of Glory was made for this. I like Alan Ruck as William Henry French. He's great in this. Balthazar Getty is great as a kid who admires Billy the Kid, but then gets caught in the crossfires of this war, of this lifestyle. Lou Diamond Phillips does a great job as Chavez. I liked him in the first film. He brings more emotion to this film. And Christian Slater, he's kind of like Dirty Steve in the original one, but he's Arkansas Davis, so it's kind of nice seeing him as like Steve and Charlie from the last movie put together in a way. He's a great addition, and he's a character that was in the history that was not featured in the original Young Guns, so that's kind of cool seeing that finally. And Pat Garrett, of course, I like that stuff. The stuff with him and the confrontation at the end. And I like the story of having like Brushy Bill Roberts account this tale. It may be true, may not be true, but it fits the Young Guns 2 mold. Not only is it a direct sequel afterwards, but this is kind of like a different movie entirely, almost like a Young Guns like a reboot. But not a reboot, you know, just another tale that's similar. And I like that. It is a darker, kind of more grittier film. Not with an edge. This is PG-13, even though there's like more sex and nudity for some reason. I guess the violence made it rated R in the original. And oh yeah, the peyote scene. I forgot about that. But I like it. I like the stuff with the different people trying to hang them to death at the horror house. Pat Garrett and his conversation. Doc and Billy's conversations together are great. How they get on each other's nerves. But that one scene where Doc is hurt and it's just like, you know what? You sent that kid to his death, and you sent the rest of us straight to hell. I love that. I love that ambush. And then Doc's just like, you know what? I'm done for. And he's just like, Billy, let's finish the game. And you just see that scene where he gets the guns. Such a great scene. Alan Silvestri provides a score for this. He provides more of a grandiose, kind of epic Western score to this film that kind of gives it another element. Again, this is more of a traditional kind of grand epic Western compared to, say, the youthful, synthesized, kind of like gritty action movie from the 80s. This is a very different type of Young Guns movie. You can tell they were trying to make more of a traditional kind of grand Western than the original film. It's a nice romanticism over the Billy the Kid story in Young Guns 2. And if you like the first one, you may like the second one. I like both films. I personally like the first one better than the second film, but the second film has strong moments, especially with the death of Doc and then Chavez. That scene with him and Billy is just tragic because Billy has really lost everyone. He knows what he has done. He basically brought everyone to their deaths. And the moment he tries to get out of his lifestyle, it's just too late, you know? And that's just so deep. They convey that very well, and Emilio Estevez is a very underrated actor in this. I'll make you famous, that line, and then I loved it where the judge is like, you're sentenced to death, death, death. And Billy the Kid's just like, well, you can go to hell, hell, hell. I just love that moment. And yeah, if you have never seen Young Guns or Young Guns 2, I highly recommend it. Like I said, there hasn't been many other Westerns like this. American Outlaws try to do it in 2000s, but it just failed miserably. Young Guns and Young Guns 2 are two great films. Doc and Chavez survived until old age, until the 1920s, so they weren't killed off like they were in the film. So it's nice seeing the embellishments and kind of romanticism of the Billy the Kid story in this. And I give it a 4 out of 5. This is the first Young Guns I saw. I like the first a bit more, like I said earlier, but this film has a lot of great moments, and they don't make Westerns like they used to. And definitely, if you're a Emilio Estevez fan, Billy the Kid is his best role. I mean, if you like Coach Bombay, check him out as Billy the Kid. He is fantastic, and yeah, he's like, he was born to play Billy the Kid, seriously. Whether you like the first or the second film more, you can't deny Young Guns 2 by itself is a solid film, and who can say that about sequels that can stand up on their own? Sure, it's a sequel to Young Guns, but it doesn't need Young Guns 1. You can watch this without seeing Young Guns and it'd still be a great film. That's what I did before I saw Young Guns. And if you've seen the original, then great, this movie's going to be even better for you then. Or not, I don't know, it depends on the characters, but definitely, if you're a fan of Westerns, check out Young Guns 2. Again, a 4 out of 5. Feel free down in the comments below. Share your thoughts on Young Guns 2 if you've seen it. If you haven't seen it, feel free to check this and Young Guns out. And yeah, I can't believe this is the first review of Young Guns 2. I haven't seen any other reviews on YouTube for Young Guns 2. I know it's not the greatest film ever, but that's just a travesty. Like, damn. If I missed it, feel free to leave a link to somebody's review of Young Guns 2. I'd love to watch it. But Feel free to check out my retrospective of Young Guns for his 30th anniversary, and here are some other videos you can check out on my channel. Till next time, I will return in the fall for Halloween.